Howdy folks! Today we are going to be painting two different versions of Danny Devito. We each chose a Danny Devito movie for each other to watch. Neither of us have seen these beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
So for my movie, Dennis chose for me Romancing the Stone. And
I had to watch the movie Twins, starring Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
So we're going to talk about that while we paint one of, I would say, probably the sexiest men on the planet, right?
Right.
Yeah.
The most rotund.
Yeah. Both. Okay.
Let's get started.
Basically, there's a woman who is, she's like a lonely romance novelist, but she's like pretty successful, I would say.
Okay.
So in the beginning, you know, she's just finished her latest book. Basically, she gets an envelope from her dead brother-in-law, her sister's husband.
Who's dead.
Who is now, yeah, he's dead, but she gets this letter from him, and it has a map in it. And I forget what the letter says. It's something like, I'm in danger, but like, here's a map. And
I'm in danger, but here's a map.
And
to her?
Later.
Who's the map to?
The map is for her. I think it's like, you need to keep this safe.
What I've done is just so rude to Danny DeVito.
I'm nervous for you. So she gets a phone call. They're holding her sister captive, and they're like, bring us the map. Bring it to Cartagena in Colombia. She's like, I can't go to Colombia. And they're like, all right, well, I guess your sister's gonna die.
Whoa.
She's like, oh shit, okay. So she goes to Cartagena, and she gets there, and she's honestly like so helpless. The entire first half of the movie, which I guess is the point. She gets on the wrong bus. Somebody tells her there's this guy, his name is like Zolo, and he's actually like chief of police or something like that in Colombia. He tells her to go on the wrong bus, so she gets on it and he follows her. And Danny DeVito, it turns out, him and his, I think, cousin are in the antiquity smuggling business.
Right.
And his name is Ralph. And his
Danny
cousin's
DeVito's name is
Ira.
Ralph?
Yes.
Okay, Ralph and Ira.
Yeah.
And they're the bad guys.
There's like two groups of bad guys, yeah. So now Zolo is on the bus with her. Ralph is like following in the car, and she distracts the driver because she's stupid. And she's like,
okay.
She's like,
I'm stupid.
She's like, is this bus going to Cartagena? Basically, their bus crashes. She gets away from these other two guys, and she meets exotic bird smuggler.
How many smugglers are in
his
this
name is
movie?
Joe.
Okay.
There's just antiquity smugglers and bird smugglers.
Right. The two classic types of smuggler you run into.
Colombia, yeah. So, she ends up like getting him to help her. And she's like, it's a matter of life and death, whatever. So they're like going through the jungle, whatever. They escape the other guys again at some point. But now they're like, he's like, well, you have this map. Why don't you find, I think it's like El Corazon. It's like the heart. Why don't you find this thing, which is obviously what they're both looking for. And then you'll have like the ultimate
bargaining chip?
Bargain, yeah.
Okay.
So she's like, all right, so they find it eventually. It's this like green stone, and
that's the stone. That's the stone that they're romancing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
does it have any magic powers?
I think it's just valuable.
Oh.
And
oh.
I don't know. She gets to the hotel. He has the stone, but she has the map. So.
Well, what does the map matter if they already have the stone?
They don't know that the people who are holding her sister don't know that they already found the stone.
Oh, okay.
They think that
so they're after the map.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they can find the stone. So she shows up. She's got the stone. They're like, okay, here. It's the antiquities smugglers.
Danny DeVito and his
Ira.
brother.
Yes, Ralph and Ira.
Okay.
And
Arnold
like their
Schwarzenegger.
squad. There's also a lot. There's like crocodiles in a pit.
Classic.
And so they give her sister, but then Zolo shows up.
Han
with his
Solo.
Squad, yeah. And they're like, "Give me the rock." And
Dwayne the Rock Johnson's there. Give me the rock.
give me the rock. There's a whole fight. I think the girl and her sister, they're just trying to like get away at this point, but the map. So they want the map. And then, Michael Douglas shows up. He's got the rock. There's a whole struggle involved, a lot of power dynamics shifting. And eventually Zolo gets the stone, but then his hand gets eaten by one of the crocodiles.
Okay.
And
classic.
And I think he falls into the crocodile pit. And Ira is like escaping Danny DeVito's cousin. And Danny DeVito the whole time, he's like, this whole movie, he's like, because Ira's making him do all the dirty work, and he's like,
oh, I thought Danny DeVito's not the boss?
No, it's mostly, for the most part, it's Ira. I think they're like kind of equally powerful.
Okay. They're partners.
Yeah.
Equally powerful.
But Danny DeVito's being sent out to do all this shit.
Right.
So,
He betrays him.
So he betrays him. He's going off on his boat, and Danny DeVito's like, "Hey, what the hell?" And Ira's like, "I'll come back."
I'll come back for you.
Yeah, and then obviously not.
That's fucked up.
Like, yeah, so Danny DeVito gets caught by whatever's happening. Yeah. But like, Zolo's the one that like ransacked her apartment in the beginning, looking for the map.
I'm having such a hard time following what's going on.
Yeah, I mean.
Is this towards the end of the movie? Where are we?
This is pretty much the end.
Okay.
This looks so... Oh, God. I've really fucked up. Basically, Michael Douglas dives into the water after the crocodile. He's like... He
goes after the crocodile?
Yeah.
He's gonna fight the crocodile.
She's like, "You're gonna leave me?" And he's like, "You'll be fine," or something like that. And
wait. Pause.
Yeah.
He's gonna fight a crocodile in the water?
Get the rock. Yeah, because he wants a sailboat so that he can travel the world on his sailboat. That's his whole
He doesn't
thing.
make enough money smuggling birds.
No, he doesn't. Also, when the bus crashes into his Land Rover and all his birds get away.
No.
So,
He worked so hard for those birds.
yeah. I mean, yeah, so she gets away safe. She writes a book about her experience. He's her, main man. He's her Jesse. She's been looking for her Jesse. Her editor was trying to set her up with these weird guys.
Okay.
Danny DeVito gets caught.
Oh.
Ira gets away.
What?
Zolo dies in the crocodile pit. And oh my god, and the end of the movie, she is coming back from her meeting with her editor, and there's a big sailboat just parked in front of her apartment building.
Who could this be?
And she sees, and she's like, oh my god, she sees him. He's wearing crocodile boots that I guess he made out of the crocodile.
Wait, so the last time we see him is him diving in after a crocodile?
Yeah.
And then just cut to...
Because when the crocodile ate the guy's hand, it also swallowed the stone.
The stone, right.
So that was it. I mean, it was action-packed.
Was it good? Did you like it? It doesn't really sound...
I actually liked it.
Okay, it didn't sound like you liked it.
No, I did like it.
Okay, good.
I wasn't really... I didn't know what to expect.
Well,
It wasn't that.
The general idea of the plot is 35 years ago, this woman was part of this experiment to create the superhuman, and they got 6 dudes this famous football player and these genius Nobel Prize winning scientists.
Mm-hmm.
Got these 6 dudes, took all their sperm and impregnated this woman to try and make a superhuman.
Wait, just one woman? They just...
Yeah.
Just...
It's not really explained how they did it.
Yeah, because that
the science doesn't quite add up anyway, but essentially they said they
Okay.
somehow combined all their
I feel
cum.
like this was... Right. It feels like an excuse for some sort of kink.
What?
So
she's part of this experiment, and then she gives birth to, this superhuman baby who is Arnold Schwarzenegger. But then also, she gives birth to this other little baby, which is Danny DeVito. So they're twins.
So cute.
But Arnold Schwarzenegger gets all the super genes, and Danny DeVito is Danny DeVito. But then, so the mom, it's told to us that the mom died in childbirth. And then Arnold Schwarzenegger was raised on like this like private experiment island where I guess they're just kind of like, he's doing his thing and they're like running tests on him, but he's just kind of like living like on this paradise away from society. But Danny DeVito was just dumped in an orphanage in like LA.
Aww.
So they're like separated from birth. They don't even know about each other. The movie starts where we don't even see the scene, but the main scientist guy decides to tell Arnold Schwarzenegger that, oh, you know, you actually had a twin brother. So Arnold Schwarzenegger's like, I gotta go find them. That's how he talks. I gotta go find him. He's Kermit.
So good.
Yeah.
Really good impersonation.
Thank you. So he literally gets on like a rowboat and rows across like the ocean because he's like a superhuman man.
Is he famous? Like, do
No,
people know about
he's
him?
on like a private island. Like nobody knows about him. Like he's just like an experiment. I don't know. They don't really explain why. So it's like a fish out of water story with him, where he's like going on like 1980s LA, and like he's like, oh, there's these like Latino guys with their bouncing cars, and Arnold Schwarzenegger's in like he's in like jean shorts and like a huge like oversized jacket.
That's so cute.
And he's got like combat boots on. He doesn't know how to dress. He doesn't know like anything. But then cut to Danny DeVito. He's like this kind of like scumbag. The opening scene with Danny DeVito is he's like in bed having an affair with a woman. Guy comes home, he's like, oh, gotta go, and he just like jumps out the window and like kind of slides on in the street, and he's just kind of like boogieing along. He's got a ticket on his car, but he's like, I'm not paying this, throws it over his shoulder. So two very different characters.
Right.
Kind of just to speed things up.
Danny DeVito, turns out he's like in debt to like this loan shark guy, and they're like kind of coming after him at the beginning of the movie, like, oh, you gotta pay us. So he's trying to get like money to pay off these loan sharks.
So he's just kind of like a scummy dude, and then he also turns out he steals cars to like try to make like a quick buck. So that's gonna be important later.
Okay.
So he gets pulled over, and then the cops are like, hey, you have 200 outstanding parking tickets. You're going to jail. So he goes to jail. Then Arnold Schwarzenegger comes into the picture. He shows up to jail. He's like, I'm your twin brother. I gotta get you out of here. I love you. And Danny DeVito's like, I don't know what's happening, but if you want to pay for me to get out of here, go for it. And Arnold Schwarzenegger's like, okay, yeah, I love you, dude. We're brothers. I'll freaking pay for you to get out of here. And so he does, and then they're like kind of hanging out, but Danny DeVito's just using him.
Right.
This is a good time to say, Danny DeVito has this like, I guess like on again, off again relationship with this woman who's like one of the main characters in the movie. And she has a sister who is beautiful. Like, absolutely a stunning woman. So you know right away that that's going to be who Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to end up with.
Right.
Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito meet up somehow, and then Danny DeVito's like, oh yeah, you know, let me go. I gotta go get my friend's car from the airport, like, would you help me? And he's like, oh man, my friend, he forgot to leave the key, could you help me get in? So Arnold Schwarzenegger is an idiot, and so he just breaks into the car, because he's like, oh yeah, I gotta help out my brother. And then they go to this grocery store where they run into both the sisters. And Arnold Schwarzenegger's looking at like a Playboy, he's like, whoa, hubba hubba, I've never even seen knockers like those. But then the sister, the hot sister, sees him. She's like, whoa, you're reading some good reading, huh? He's like, I didn't know this kind of stuff was in there. And so she's
essentially a giant child.
Kind of. But he's like, he's got a heart of gold.
Gotcha.
And he's trying, and then like, it's established, he like, Danny DeVito walks over, like they all like make introductions, but it's clear like right from the get-go that she's just like, I'm gonna fuck this guy. I saw him looking at Playboys in the grocery store.
Like, I want that one.
I'm gonna fuck that guy. Oh yeah, so it turns out that the car that they stole is somehow involved in this like really weird like scheme. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like there's like some super important smuggled good in the trunk of the car. Like these guys had left it there on purpose to get picked up by this other guy. So Danny DeVito, like, there's a tape in the car, like a cassette tape that's like explaining all the instructions on like where to bring the car and like who to contact and stuff. So Danny DeVito, like being his like kind of in his scummy ways, is trying to like steal this thing, like make a quick buck to pay off these loan sharks. But then it turns out like if they bring it to Texas, he's gonna get like $10 million or something, like a crazy amount of money. So he's like, we're going to Texas, but he doesn't say to Arnold Schwarzenegger why they're going to Texas. Mm-hmm. But also so happens, Arnold Schwarzenegger is also looking for all his dads at the same time, and all his dads. And one of his dads that he runs into tells him that his mom didn't die in childbirth, but they all thought that the kids died. So like the people running the experiments lied to everybody. Like they told the mom that the kids died, and they told the kids that the mom died. So they go to Texas. They take a road trip to Texas, and the two girls tag along because. And on this road trip to Texas, they're being hunted by both the loan sharks who have been causing problems throughout the movie, as well as this like guy who was supposed to get the car, who's like this like super elite like criminal.
This sounds like a similar situation.
Yeah, there's definitely some overlap. And you know, Danny DeVito's like, "Oh, Arnold Schwarzenegger, you're a virgin, aren't you?" He's like, "Oh, you know, I don't like to talk about that." And so essentially they're on their quest to find their mom and head off this like $10 million like engine or whatever the fuck they got in the trunk. They're also trying to get Arnold Schwarzenegger laid. And you know, it all kind of goes from there, where they do get him laid.
Okay.
They go to find the mom, but then at this like weird artist retreat, and it turns out like, oh no, she actually is dead. It's like, okay, well that's super disappointing. And Danny DeVito, who seemed like he was having kind of a turn of a change of heart after being with his nice brother who loves him all the time, and he's feeling loved for the first time in his life. He's like, I know this is all too good to be true. Like I shouldn't have ever trusted anybody. So then he goes off to sell his engine by himself and like leaves everyone on the side of the road. And then the criminal guy finds him. There's like this big shootout, and Arnold Schwarzenegger like has to like find him and like save the day. And that's kind of the end of the movie. That wraps up the main plot. Flash forward, like I guess a year or something. Both Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger are married to the two sisters, and both couples have a pair of twins. Oh, and also I forgot to mention the whole movie, Danny DeVito has this disgusting ponytail. Absolutely vile, and I hate how he looks in this movie.
Danny DeVito looks okay in this movie.
I feel like I gave him a ponytail and it looks like he's like wearing like a ninja like, headband.
Ew.
Yeah. I made him look like a fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. What would you give Romancing the Stone out of 10?
Out of 10?
Yeah, out of 10.
I would give it probably like a 7.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. What would you give Twins?
Honestly, kind of the same.
Really?
It's a solid movie, I mean, it's self-aware enough that it's not like taking itself too seriously, but it does have like a nice little message about like family and oh fuck, I didn't paint his pants.
His pants. No.
Yeah, I mean, Danny DeVito movies though, I think mine sounds like a better Danny DeVito movie.
Yeah, he really wasn't in this one so much. I mean, he was in all the chase scenes and stuff, but...
Well, that's where he thrives. When I think Danny DeVito, I think chase scenes.
Right.
I don't think there was a single chase scene in my movie.
Really?
I don't think so. You think there would be, because they're in cars a lot.
And they're being
followed, but most of the action takes place on foot.
Strange.
He's running from like a sniper at one point. But I wouldn't call that a chase scene. Yeah, I mean, overall thoughts on Danny DeVito as a man?
Iconic.
Yeah, I personally really like Danny DeVito.
I love him. He's great.
He's great. I mean,
How
Always
could you
Sunny.
not like him?
Always Sunny is like my favorite comedy, and he's so fucking funny in that show. And that's really mainly what I know him from, I guess, if that makes sense. Like I definitely saw him in like Batman Returns first. Like that's honestly like the first movie I ever remember seeing is Batman Returns. So he's always been part of my life. Maybe I just didn't even know it.
He's always been right there.
Yeah, in my boob.
I feel like I've seen a lot more with him in it, but I just don't know what.
Well, you like Real Big Fish.
It's not. That's the band. It's just called Big Fish.
Big Fish. I don't know why I keep saying Real Big Fish.
It's a good name for a band. But yeah, I like him in Big Fish. Big Fish is like one of my favorite movies from childhood.
That's another Tim Burton movie.
It is.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Twins. Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
What the hell? Yours looks
like
so good.
His little balding head.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks good. What do you mean?
It's not that good.
It looks very abstract. I really like that as like a painting.
Really?
Yeah. I would.
You would what? You would hang this?
I feel like
he's got money. He's got his case of money.
It looks. I follow an artist that does stuff like that. I'll have to show you. I'll link the artist.
Okay. Yours looks fucking cool too. I like the crocodile.
Thank you.
And he's holding his little pistol.
Little gun.
And the romance.
I tried to make his shoulders really big.
They look pretty big.
Shoulder pads.
Is this his shoulder? Or is that part of his arm?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
I gave him like an extra joint.
You definitely see that you did. Hey, based on these paintings, I'd watch that movie.
I'd watch that movie for sure.
Hey, I guess we succeeded in what we wanted to do today. You let us know if this looks like Danny Devito to you. And if Mr. DeVito is watching, I apologize immensely for my portrait of you.
I don't.
Okay. And that's about that.